Good afternoon. I taped Science Talk 2 on my Facebook page because for some reason I had so on my Facebook page I discussed Archimedes, Schrodinger, um, what a poor memory. You'll have to look at it, please, and you'll figure out what all I discussed. Four scientists, four scientists. My first science talk on YouTube, I discussed six scientists. Now, I'm going to begin by saying that I just wondered why it had to be tungsten. That's the beauty of scientists and engineers. See, they choose the right element and the best element which is capable of achieving the uh, task that has to be made, achieving, doing the task that has to be done, getting the task done. This is slightly colloquialisms, makes it not grammatically correct. But anyways, so tungsten has atomic weight 74 and atomic weight 184. Tantalum could be a substitute as one electron. What a difference it could make, though. Atomic weight 73, atomic number 73, and atomic weight 181 um, could perhaps be substituted for tungsten. So I had thought if I were to get funding and actually give these talks in a university environment, then I would replace the filament of a bulb with tantalum and see how well the electric bulb lights up. I would ask the manufacturer, not going to be doing it. Or I could get a bit of tantalum and try to, that would be too hard. I would ask the manufacturer to give me one prototype with the tantalum and see if it works. But remember, um, with the same atomic number, isotopes with different atomic weights have different properties, but they're close. U235 and U238 are kind of close. They differ in valency, so their combining properties would be different because they have these many extra electrons, right? And valency is dependent on the number of electrons in the outermost orbit. So that can be looked into if I were to get funding. And this is an ongoing process. I'm hoping for funding, of course. And I'm giving the talks again with experiments. Next, Roger Bacon. Roger Bacon, among several things, showed how rainbow could be made. He did several things. And I thought that since rainbow, I looked it up on the internet, is reflection, refraction, and followed by dispersion. Dispersion is scattering of light. But I had thought that it's not just scattering of light, it's white light falling on a prism and then separating. Newton's prism effect is dispersion. All right, so and I thought that I could just spray a mist of water in light uh, on an object and then on a transparent object, on a glass jar. And light would pass through the glass jar through a um, beaker of water. Now I'm going to use a beaker of water, and then uh, you it might result in a spectrum of light, but it would have to pass through a prism. Why struggle so much to create a rainbow when a prism automatically does it? So this might work if it is reflection, refraction, and dispersion. Then the sequential active action of these three properties on material might result in the creation of a rainbow. But then prism effect. Uh, but then rainbow is, and I tried doing this. You see, it's going to slip. The beaker's not here. I'll hold I'll hold it up and see. It didn't work, but an interesting phenomenon happens. Uh, I can't spray light on the computer, so this somebody should hold it, right? This could be the prism I thought, prism of light. It didn't work. It didn't work. Rather than show all this, it didn't work. This is also not prism glass. This I thought might be prism glass, a shot glass, a beer mug. These are all my husband's company things he has accumulated. It didn't work, but an interesting thing happened, and sprayed into her. When I pass on, all right. When I pass, there's a stream of light. Oh, can you see the stream of? Try doing this. You see a stream of light form a nice elongated shadow passing through the light. It's a property of refraction. Simple, but you do it just on a it makes the shape a circular on a conical flask without water. Doesn't have water. It makes a. It doesn't make anything. Doesn't make anything. No, this doesn't work. I would have to try doing this at home. Take a torch, fill a beaker with water. Beakers and conical flasks and graduated cylinders are available in Michael's Canada or Michael's USA. So you need to spray it. Hold the beam of light from the torch um, outside the beaker of water, and you get a nice streak of light. It's the property of refraction. That is what I'm thinking. I'm also not sure because refraction property of refraction, light bends when passing through two media. It's passing through the glass and then through the water and coming out. It's again and through but there is air though. But here it's air to glass to water, three media, and in just a conical flask without water. It's air to glass, so air to glass and out. So it's not making the streak of light. So refraction and reflection you saw, but dispersion you can go to the Ontario Science Centre and see it. And it makes a very nice pattern. It might be just fun to show it to your children, or if you're old enough, or show it to yourself that scientists were right, and refraction and reflection were all wonderful properties which were discovered by them. Ada Lovelace, apparently, this is Computer 101. My husband said scornfully, I held a Women in Science luncheon last October, and I had invited Professor Molly Shoykett, Department of Chemical Engineering and Applied Chemistry, University of Toronto. She has even accumulated the Order of Canada since then. But then when I held this luncheon, she didn't come. And I'm secretly glad she didn't come because I don't think the crowd. There were 11 of us, including Prana. 11 of 6 plus 3, 9. 9 of us. The children didn't come. I thought there were 9 of us. And it was an small intimate gathering. I told her it was an intimate gathering. And I love the word intimate because this is what they used to say, but they meant bigger audiences. When my son used to play in Theatre Passe Murale, in a place organized by his theatre class, which he used to go to, Children's Arts Theatre School. And they would say, because you come closer, it's an intimate gathering. It seems more nicer for the players and everything. So she would have been an intimate gathering, but she didn't come. Secretly glad, because I don't think they would have listened to her talk. They were so busy discussing dosas and idlis and but they came. They were very sweet to me. They came and gave me tea, etc. I would have had to have gone the whole 9 years with Professor Shoiker, and I was a little tired of after doing all the cooking. So, anyways, I wrote a poem, and it says, the scientist in me is a sentimentalist, and the engineer in me is a whole eternal, hopeful, something like that. It's published on my Facebook page. And but coming back, that is when I discovered Ada Lovelace, because I looked at a book, 50 women scientists who have made significant contributions. It begins with Hypatia, a Greek scientist, and I chose menu, clothes, etc. Had chosen a few scientists from the collection, and had matched their. For example, pizza dough. Had made tortillas, handmade tortillas, so handmade tortilla dough, and then one of the ladies, I'm afraid I forget the names, but it's in my poem, had embroidered grit cells on her dress to collect the Nobel Prize. So I have a power drill, partially embroidered, partially fabric painted on a blouse, and had used that, worn that, and I made it. Somebody tested out. First job was to test lemon pickles in a pickle making facility. So I made lime pickles, or I think she did dill pickles. Of course, it's the U.S., but never mind. Lime pickles comes from Kannada origin, South Indian origin, and the third thing was strawberry shortcake. She proved her kitchen equipment, which she had invented, strawberry shortcake. I think she basically invented the egg beater, I think, at that point in time, because the oven was there. She must have invented the kitchen mixer with egg beater. And that was her contribution. I should have written down the names, but this was a surprise addition. Anyway, so Ada Lovelace. And I was very thrilled. I said, Ada Lovelace. And my husband said, Computer 101. It's a PhD. Computer says, Computer 101. But that was the first time I heard her name. But then I designed these talks, and I read about Ada Lovelace, Charles Babbage, and Ada Lovelace with the field of computer science, and she came up with an analytical engine which was capable of abstract thought. Just last weekend, coincidentally, I had read that love is an abstract concept, and paintings, all abstract paintings, which don't even look as beautiful as love should feel and feels, came in the newspaper, were published in the newspaper, and they are, I think the show is running the AGO, or the ROM, is it? It's an abstract expressionist exhibit. So love is an abstract concept. Who else is a better analytical engine than the human being? Yeah, because we are capable of abstract. We do tend to sum up 2 + 2 is equal to 5, and but all of us are being guilty of doing that. But 2 + 2 = 4 is the analytical way to go, and analytical circles, you understand. So, anyways, then Leonardo da Vinci. You can look up the web there. He has done a number of things. Of course, he's a painter. You all know he was the one responsible for actually documenting the anatomy of a human being, painted the body parts. And my hairstylist, he's gay. Thomas, said that he was a nurse before he became a hairstylist. It's a success story, isn't it? He was a nurse and then and he chose to become a hairstylist. They worked long hours at my hairstylist. It's an expensive hairstyle. Last time I paid $152 for a haircut and a lot I never turned gray. It was a very nice tip from a family friend. I turned 50. I told you this in my first talk, right? So I turned 50 this June, and I didn't even find out if my hair grayed. Maybe my hair has not yet grayed, but I can't. I can't. So it was a nice tip, and I cut my hair, so it was 152 plus I paid a $20 tips. Expensive hairstylist, but very good, very good. And they give you lime water at salon. And I used to even have an esthetician. I stopped going because it began to hurt too much. So I stopped going. Anyways, said that when he was a nurse, and because I brought up the topic of dissection, I dissected frog and cockroach in my 11th grade. So in nursing school and medicine school, where doctors study, of course, we all have the difference between podiatry and doctor school, which was made famous by Seinfeld. So one cannot say things like which are rude to a nurse. Although I do sometimes. Occasionally, I've lost that though because I've not succeeded according to expectations in engineering, right? Engineering, but during my grad school days, Dad, we used to be a dad. Thought, leastways we thought to wonderful. Those were wonderful days. And people thought so too. People's voice used to change whenever I remember I'm studying engineering, undergraduate degree, and things like that. So that was the way I used to. But making them on the internet, you all read them. Comment, please. Comment. Let me see. I thanked somebody who commented on my Poem Hunter page. I thanked the person profusely. And another gentleman said, "Dear poetess, how beautiful. Doesn't it sound nice?" Anyways, so he said that he was dissecting. They would to dissect muzzles, and they had to learn the name of the muzzle. So apparently, Leonardo da Vinci gave up. He was working on dead bodies. So every expression, which muscle is responsible for which expression. Then you know that person is telling a tale, or is he even expressing himself? My father died when I was 6th grade. Had a smile. The dead body came home, and he had a smile, and we really felt sorry because he died in peace. But if you think about it, it's a wonderful way of dying, right? Smiling, he must have been hurting because he was hurt on his work site. He was a civil engineer. He was the head of the entire project, 3-dam project. And a truck ran over him, was backing, and he must have turned her aside. My mother wept and wept. Why did he have the smoking habit? He must have turned around to light a cigarette, and the truck ran over him. And when he died, he had a smile, right? So maybe if somebody had anatomically dissected him, then they'd have figured out the smiling expression is done by which muscle. So that's why I guess it's a deadpan expression. When you're not expressing yourself, deadpan expression. So Leonardo da Vinci, I urge you to look. He was an architect, he was a painter, he was a sculptor, he was a doctor, and a number of things. Of course, the Mona Lisa, and is famous. And the Last Supper. The Last Supper is also by Leonardo da Vinci, isn't it? And next is John Nash, F. Nash. You all know the man, and he was not. He had it was really sad, but he made a comeback. He became better, so that was good. It's as I read, it's applicable to game theory. So threat and action, defense and offense, etc., all come under the Nash equilibrium. And the thought that came to me was that tennis all games could be considered offensive and defensive strategies, X's and dashes and crosses, X's and O's. hugs and kisses. But if you were to serve an ace, I never could. Right, my serves were pathetic. They just crossed to the other side. But the backhand was good, two-handed backhand. All right, I always say this in tennis. And an ace, offense wins outright. So, but and in a defense, tennis defense, a volley which meets the offense right at the net before it has actually gone to the entire through the length of the entire court, or well, a length of the entire court would be out, but you know what I'm saying. Most of the court, it's met. So that's unbelievable defense. So if at all but an ace can never be met. It's outright offense. Here, this is outright defense. But apparently, Nash equilibrium in non-cooperative games, which are not team sports, I thought, but I'm not sure what the term meant. The players, I guess cards, poker, and things like that, Nash equilibrium plays comes into play. Um, are they all have their strategies, and they don't change these strategies. If they change these strategies, then one of them wins. But they all stick to their strategy. That's the Nash equilibrium. So in a chemical reaction, I'm a chemical engineer with an M engine MSc, with an M engine MSc. So I have to think about chemical reactions. So if a reaction is in equilibrium, then the rate of forward reaction is equal to the rate of reverse reaction. So so it's happening at the same time. So I don't suppose this could be used. If you were to add more reactant or take some of the product out, you're upsetting the Nash equilibrium here, or the reaction equilibrium. So, or for that matter, I guess Schrodinger's cat, live or dead, is an equilibrium. You never know the result. If you were to change something, you're upsetting the balance of the equilibrium there. Inside the glass case, this cat is sitting, Schrodinger's cat. So, anyways, so in cards, we used to play 3 cards when we were new graduates. All right, and chemical was how sad we could have done something, but then we had just finished horrendous exams. We took 45 courses in our undergraduate degree in chemical engineering. All right, so that was a lot tough, and I had got all. First year I had one a lab left over. I took it again. Second year I had engineering drawing. I took it again. Third year, alas, was not year I had 3 remaining. One lab, math, and heat transfer, and the math course stayed on, but which I took in Arizona State University later on. But my final year, I managed to pass all first attempt. Is what a trip, right? The number of exams we take. Exams go on for like a month with a day break in between, and so it was all good. And we had 11 subjects. 11 or 12 was it? I forgot, or 10, I think. Finally, it dropped to 10. And so with the day, 10, 20 days of exams, and sometimes we have 2 days. So it was too much. So, so we had to celebrate. So we used to play cards for a little bit of money. My mother had threatened to throw the cards once when she walked out. I had a cousin who was an actress, and she thought I was really bright, and I let her be the beautiful one. All right, notice with quotes, I let her be the beautiful one. She would not like it if she were to listen to me, but I'm teasing her. All right, so so we used to play. So we used to play cards, 3 cards, and we used to show shites. We used to ask a sideshow. So only you and the person next to you could person somewhere, but you could see each other's cards, and that would upset the equilibrium, Nash equilibrium in the game, because the strategy had to change. He would change his strategy based on the sideshow he's seen. Right? He would either get out of the game, or raise the stakes. So that I think happens in poker. But I've never played poker. Poker is played with 5 cards, and this is 3 cards, and I never did draw a flush. So I hope I drew a flush today. All right, and I didn't upset the Nash equilibrium. That is, I was not interrupted by my son because I heard him upstairs. I was worried, so that would have been upsetting the Nash equilibrium between you and me in this um, uh, game of throats. No, I'm kidding. All right, thank you.